Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for the second day of week 3 of distance learning. We have been reading from Module 9, and the essential question is, how does food get to your table? Our mindset is planning ahead. We are working on writing a critique, which in this case is giving our opinion of if we think the author from How Did That Get in My Lunchbox did a good job or not so good job of explaining how cheese is made. So take out your graphic organizer from yesterday and get your draft from yesterday ready. Then take your pencil and watch the video on reasons and examples. This is the video on giving reasons and examples for your opinion. Let's see how she does.
Opinion Writing for Kids, Episode 5, Reasons and Examples. I'm writing my opinion about my favorite book, The Tale of Peter Rabbit. I've written an introduction to start my draft, so now I'm ready to write reasons and examples to support my opinion. Reasons tell why you believe something. Examples support your reasons by giving evidence. Here's the plan for my writing. I've already thought of 4 reasons why I think this book is great. Now I need to write my reasons in sentences and add examples from the book. I'm going to start with my first reason, the characters. I think The Tale of Peter Rabbit is a great book because it has really cute characters. This sentence tells my reason. Now I will write an example from the book. For example, the little bunnies are named Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They are fluffy and wear really cute clothes. Now I will write about my next reason. Also, parts of the story are really silly, like when Peter sneaks under the fence to get into the garden. On this page, I used linking words to connect my ideas, like because, for example, and also. Now I will write about my last 2 reasons. I also love the illustrations. The pictures in the book are really pretty and colorful. Last, kids can learn a lesson by reading this book. Peter learned that he should have listened to his mom to stay safe. I wrote about all 4 of my reasons and gave examples to support each one. Check out episode 6 to see how I finish my draft by writing a conclusion.
Great. Now we're ready to go back to how the author explained making bread, or how bread gets to our lunchbox, so that I can demonstrate how I'm going to develop my opinion that the author did a good job, and reasons. She broke it into understandable pieces. She used specific vocabulary. Her illustrations support the details, and she succeeded in getting me to understand how bread gets to my lunchbox into paragraphs that use connecting words and examples to illustrate what I mean. So let's review what it says. It says, a farmer planted seeds in spring, and by summer they'd grown into tall, waving wheat, with fat, ripe grains at the tip of every stalk. The farmer cut the wheat with a giant combine harvester and sent it to the flour mill. Remember, a stalk is the stem of a plant. The miller ground the grains into flour, and trucks took the flour to a bakery. The baker mixed the flour and water, sugar, and yeast, kneaded it into soft, squishy dough, and baked it in a very hot oven. Out came fresh loaves of bread ready to send to the store. Take a bite of the bread in your sandwich. Mmm, crusty on the outside and soft in the middle. Now I'm ready to think about my critique. Whoops, pardon me, I'm so sorry. So to do that, I'm going to write some reasons. The author explains how bread gets from the field, to my lunchbox by breaking her description into steps. First, the wheat plant grows in the fields. Next, the ends of the stalks grow fat grains of wheat. Then, the combine harvester cuts the grain from the stalk. Last, the grain is taken to the miller where it is ground into flour. This flour is used to make dough using yeast, flour, sugar, and water. After the dough is baked, it becomes bread that is delivered to the stores. My second reason, I kind of wrote a summary of what the author said in order to support that the author broke the explanation into steps. Now I'm going to show the specific vocabulary the author used. The author used specific vocabulary to increase my knowledge of how bread of how wheat becomes bread. For example, here's a connecting word. The author identifies the machine used to harvest wheat as and I put in quotation marks because I'm giving a specific term and I'm drawing attention to that. Combine harvester. My period goes first and then I close the quotation marks. Also, the author tells us the job for grinding wheat into flour is called and again I use quotation marks, miller. Finally, the author uses, I didn't need a capital right there. I changed the slide. Sensory words to help the reader imagine how delicious and fresh the bread is. She describes the bread using words like fresh, soft, and crusty. I'm running out of space. Let me add another slide. Okay, now I have to describe the illustrations. The author uses illustrations to support her points. First, she shows us what a combine harvester looks like as it plucks grain from the stalks. Next, she shows us what the miller uses to grind the wheat into flour. The next illustration shows how flour is mixed into dough. Last, we see the bread in a sandwich to help us make the connection to our lunch. And I put an extra H in sandwich. Oh, I did it again. Okay, and my last paragraph is going to be how the author was successful in communicating how bread gets to my lunchbox. So, last, the author is successful in communicating her message on how bread gets into someone's lunchbox. Her short but specific steps include the steps we need to know to understand how bread gets to the store. She does not include too many details in that could make us have difficulty in understanding the major steps. Her words are illustrated. Let me change that to her specific. Words are illustrated, so even though we may not have seen one, now we can imagine how it looks. Great. Now we're ready for you to do the same thing. Remember, you're writing about how cheese got into your lunchbox. Let's review what the story says. How did the cheese in your sandwich get in your lunchbox? Your cheese was once milk that came from a cow. A farmer milked the cows and a tanker from the dairy came to collect the milk. In the dairy, cheesemakers warmed up the milk and added bacteria to make it turn sour and thick. Then they added a substance that animals use to digest milk called rennet, and it changed again into bits called curds floating in whey. They drained off the whey, chopped up the rubbery curds, added some salt, and pressed them into blocks. They stored the blocks for months until the cheese was ripe. Bite into your cheese. It's creamy and smooth, but tasty too, and tingly on your tongue. Now you are going to get your sheet of paper ready so you can add details to the reasons why you think the author did a good job or not a good job describing how we make cheese. Then you'll watch a video with a conclusion. This shows you how to write the conclusion for your paper. I hope you enjoyed this video and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.